Start your business for the freedom of time. Now you're tired of the hustle and grind. There's gotta be a better way. It's time to listen to Chill and Prosper. Welcome to Chill and Prosper. You're ready to chill and prosper with Denise Duffield-Thomas.
Yeah, and welcome to a new episode of Chill and Prosper. So today we are talking about goals for this year. So we're in 2025. Obviously, it's not the very start of the year, which is totally fine. I've realized too that calendar year thing does not work for my brain. In Australia, we have school holidays, we have our summer break. Kids don't go back to school until February. This year they went back like 6th of February. February is a short month anyway. And so I'm not even thinking really about what I want to achieve until at least March, right? And so I think even if we kind of just write off the first couple of months of the year, but it does not matter. You could be listening to this episode at any time, and there's no time like now to actually set goals, right? Because I think sometimes we forget the basics of things like the law of attraction, where setting an intention is so important, and we kind of just, we get a little bit vague and we get a little bit drifty. Okay, so if you're like me, where maybe the last couple of years you got a little bit cynical about that stuff, or you got a little bit lazy, or you just thought, you just forgot about some of those basics of like setting goals and setting intentions, well, this is a great episode to listen to. And I'm going to share some of my goals for the year, and I want you to just spend a little bit of time thinking about them as well. Now, there's one other thing that I wanted to do a little bit of a shout out. So I know there are so many kids who listen to Chill and Prosper, and I've been very aware of this, and mums and dads. I've been trying to swear less on the podcast. So I don't know if you've noticed that, but I still do it a little bit, but I go, because I know that there are a lot of kids listening. So a big shout out to all the Chill and Prosper kids who are sitting in cars on the way to school, on the way to ballet practice, karate practice. And I know that you listen to the theme song and you sing along to the theme song too as well. So a big shout out to Corfi as well, who's listening with her mum, Misty. Corfi, thank you for listening, and you know all of the words too. And just a big shout out to all the other kids listening as well. And I think this episode is great for you to listen. You can never be too young to learn about the power of setting goals. My kids love writing down their goals now. And my sister, who is my baby sister, she's just turned 26, so she's 19 years younger than me. She said recently, she goes, I've been listening to you and I've done a dream board. This is a couple of months ago. And then I saw her this week and she's like, all the things on my dream board are coming true, and I should have put more things on there. She's got her new job that she wanted, like all of these things have turned up. And I was like, yes, that is the power of intention. And we forget to do that. Sometimes I know I've gotten out of those habits. In my early years, I was like doing my dream boards all the time, and then I just kind of just forgot or just got out of the habit of it. So let's get into that space now. Now there is a worksheet, a little workbook that you can download for this one if you go to denisedt.com/goals, GOALS, and it can take you through a little bit of a process of creating some like money goals and things like that too. Really, really easy. But you know what? There's just something powerful sometimes about writing it down anywhere. You know, if you've got a piece of paper handy, you've got a journal, but don't make it this big thing of, oh, I can only do it on a Monday. I can only do it on the first of the month. I can only do it with a brand new notebook. No, you can literally do this right now. So I love doing the Wheel of Life. Okay, when I first did my life coaching certification, when I first did my very first, personal development courses, I always start with the Wheel of Life. And you can do it in two ways. One, you can do an assessment of where you're at right now, but then use it to create a balanced goal, or balanced goals. So there's a couple of different ways that I love doing goal setting. You don't have to do all of them. I would just say, listen, as ideas spark for you, just do that. Okay, there's no perfect way to do it. So the Wheel of Life, I'll put it in a handout too, is just to make sure that you're not out of balance in one area of your life. Okay, so it's just a wheel, and we've put it into 8 segments. And I've seen different like wording for the segments, but these are the ones that I've done. So I'll go through them quickly and we'll go into them. Money and prosperity, like love, life, relationships, friends and family, health and vitality, fun and enjoyment, business and career, personal growth, and making a difference. They're the ones for life. Obviously, if you're really wanting to set business goals, you would break those up to be a bit more businessy. But the reason why I like to do this a bit overall is you want to give yourself a score. Okay, so each segment has a spoke from the middle. If you score that 0 at the moment, it would be closer to the middle. If you're scoring it a 10, which would be the maximum, it would be on the outside. And so you go through each spoke and you just kind of go overall, how is my relationship with my spouse at the moment? Where is that? Where is money? And you do it as an overall thing before you kind of break it down. Because what I like to see is where the imbalance is, because it's a circle. And obviously if it was like a tire for a bike, you'd want it to be a nice round circle. As soon as there's a couple of spokes that are like really off, you're not going to be able to ride your bike. Okay, so just think of that simple analogy. Now, there's been times in my life where business was going great. And I almost, with my money personality, as I'm a ruler, I'd almost not even care about the other stuff. I'd be like, oh, health and vitality, who gives a crap? Friends and family, whatever. I'd just be like business and career, personal growth, making a difference, money. And so that's one side of the equation, and I'd be like, all those things are doing great. I'm making a difference with my clients. I'm making heaps of money. I'm in my personal growth phase all the time. Who needs friends? Who needs health? Who needs enjoyment outside of that? Who needs creativity? Whatever. And even relationship, that's probably one that's been such a challenge for me because it's just not been a priority for me. I'm like, sorry, suck it up. We're doing some work, especially since we work together. So that's the first thing I want you to do. Just do a bit of an overall score of where you're at in each of those areas. And it's all on the handout for you. Next, we can go into each of those and to think of a couple of different goals for that area. Now, this is just one goal setting thing I'll share. I do like another one, which is called Be, Do, Have as well. I love that one. But for this one, we could just go through and go, okay, if you could only choose, and I'm going to limit you to 3. For some of these segments, 3 is not enough. For some of them, you'd be like, how am I going to come up with 3 goals for friends and family? And so it can be an overarching, big general goal, have more friends this year or see more friends. Or it can be something really specific. So it could be go on a girls' trip with my friends. And so you know if you've done it or not by the end of the year. Whereas make new friends, see my friends more often. It's fine to put down if you know what that actually means. Or if that's just going to be a focus for you and you can just figure it out later on, So similarly, with relationship, that can be a really tricky one to set goals around. But it could be, we're going to go on a date night and be realistic, right? Before we were going, let's do every Wednesday doing a date night. And then we realized, I know it sounds really funny, but we were like, okay, so we have to get a babysitter. And we were going to the movies and we we're going to gold class movies. And we're like, it's costing us $300 to go to gold class, buy food, hire a babysitter, and we're just sitting and watching a movie where we could just watch something at home. Because Mark was like, do you want to go out to a concert? I was like, I really don't like going out at night. We went out to see, I don't even want to say who it was because it might sound mean, but we left at halftime because I was like, it's 9:00. If we get home now, we can snuggle with the dogs and we can watch an episode of whatever show we're watching. So, you can be more specific, but also be realistic. If you're like us, oh, day, night, what's week? No. So it could be just we connect, once a month, we do something just for us. Okay. Friends and family. So a big goal for me this year is to speak to my friends more. So I've been calling my friends on the way to and from ballet. And that's not a big make $1 million goal this year, but it's something that is making my life more balanced and bringing like a feeling of community to me. Okay, does that make sense? So you go through health and vitality. Now, for a number of years when I was growing up, my health and vitality ones were always around weight. I was like, I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to do, and now I have a lot of goals around this area, because for me that is related to my ballet as well, but also about like eating more whole foods and like actually, having a bit of a meal plan. Like that's a big goal for me, just to feel healthier, fun and enjoyment. So again, there's stuff around ballet, around creativity, and not making it a business, doing stuff like that for the sake of doing that. Okay, then I've got some business and career goals, which we can dive into a little bit. Personal growth, making a difference. So a couple of years ago, I had a really big goal around like increasing our charitable contributions, and I haven't done that as much last year. So this year, we've got a charitable fund that did really well in the last year because it's invested, and to be able to make some grants from that is one of the goals in that. And in personal growth, that was something that I always had such a big goal around, and it was always related to my business. And this year, my personal growth, my big lesson is to not be responsible for everybody. And there's some really practical like family things that are coming from that too, of just like going, no, my personal growth is like, I'm putting myself first, and not everything has to be for other people or including my business. Okay, so that's that kind of wheel of life thing. Now, the next goal setting exercise I mentioned is be, do, have. And I love this one so much because I feel like it gives you a chance to brainstorm and just write down whatever you want, and then you can go in and like refine it a little bit later. So it's really easy. You have 3 columns, which you can just have on denisedt.com/goals. I'll put it in there for you. And it's like, what are some things I want to be, do, and have? Okay, so sometimes people will put like, be more peaceful. So what would make you more peaceful? A nice one on that one could be an author. That could be a goal for you this year, to be an author. Or maybe you want to get a qualification in something. So it's like to be a coach, to be a real estate agent. I would often put ones to like, be more present with my kids. And so what would be the actual thing that would make you be more present? And so now for me, it's like jumping on the trampoline with the kids, going going in the pool with the kids, saying yes to things, when I'm driving them to places, like really have a conversation. That then gives me something I can tick off. Okay. Same with do. So do is often a little bit easier to quantify. So you might have things that you want to do this year, like go to a conference. For me, mine are not so much business ones, but it's like taking the kids to the Easter show, which will be fun. Like going away with each kid, going to see more shows with Willow, stuff again around my ballet. Like I'm just going to say it out loud. It sounds so silly. I'd love to be in a ballet campaign for like a major brand, because so many of the brands, they just use a lot of like young, very skinny girls. And I've noticed that some ballet brands are really good at having different ages, different bodies. And so that is one of my goals to do, right? It's not a business goal, but this is where you can kind of dream. And what I notice is when you do things like this, some will not be that important for you, but you're just kind of parking them for the future. But also you can refine them then to create a bit of a plan for the quarter. Okay, so that was the do. Have would be things like, what do you want to have? So it might be you want to buy a new car this year, you want to buy a new laptop. It could be something that's like a bit more tangible, and a new job. And then what you can do with each of these, I would say, spend a minute on each column and write as many things as you can, right? And if you're really, really stuck, like either you're not giving yourself permission to dream, or there's just something there where there's a block. And sometimes the block is, I don't believe I'm worthy. I don't believe I deserve these things. I don't know how they would happen. Or you're just not used to being able to ask. You're not used to even dreaming for free. Okay, so it is a practice to do this. And I often find when I get people to do this at a conference, they'll just go blank. I don't know what I want. So it's like, just write down anything. Let yourself just dream it and whatever. Okay, and then we go to the next step. All right, so let's take a quick break and then we'll see what we do with that little brainstormed list. See you in a sec.
It's your time and you're ready for the next step. It's your time and you're ready for the next step. It's your time and you're totally ready for the next step. So many times we are waiting for the perfect moment, for all of the green lights, or for someone else to tap us on the shoulder and say, you're ready. But it has to come from inside you, and you can declare yourself ready now. Put your hand on your heart and try it with me. It's my time and I'm ready for the next step. If you know deep in your heart, even if you're scared, that you're ready to let go of some of your money fears and finally profit from your skills and talents, it's time to get to work. Your next step is to come and join us in Money Bootcamp. You can work with me as your money mindset mentor and join our beautiful community so you can really give yourself permission to make money and change the world. Click below to find out more, but don't wait any longer. Come and join us today. We're ready for you and it's your time and you're ready for the next step.
Okay, welcome back. We're talking about goal setting. Now, you might think, yeah, I don't need this, or yeah, I think I know what my goals are. But I always say that when you're being vague to the universe, it's like calling up your local pizza place and saying, send me a pizza you think I'd like. If you're in a phase where you feel really stagnant and things aren't happening, it's probably because you haven't been specific in what you've been asking for. And you could look at it from a woo-woo point of view of like asking the universe for it, or you can think of it from like a brain science point of view of like, what am I training my brain to think and focus on right now? Because that's what happens, right? If we go, I want to work on this thing, you start to see all of the opportunities. Your brain also starts to think of all the bad things that could happen around it. You start to get, in your head, but it does have a way of focusing your attention. Okay, so once you've just written down stuff, and I want you to think of it like you're a kid who believes that Santa will bring them anything they want, or they're allowed to ask for whatever they want on their birthday list, and you're asking with just like no rhyme or reason about what things cost or whatever. You just like naive expectation, right? That's a great way to go into it. Then you could go into each list or on the wheel of life and think, what are some real priorities for me this year? Some things on second glance, you'll go, that's a nice to have, or that's something that's just not a big priority for me. What do I really want to focus my time and attention on? And what I love with Tim Ferris, he talks about dreamcasting, right? So you would take your be, do, have list and you would maybe pick 2 things from each column and you work out what it's going to cost for you to have that. And it's a very practical way of going, okay, well, I want a new car. It's going to cost this amount of money. If I start putting away X amount per week or per month, then it would be an inevitability, right? And then you can I like keeping things open for the universe to send you a random windfall, but then you can just be like, that's roughly how much it would cost. Then you would be able to set maybe your annual income goal from that. Because sometimes when you go and do goal setting, it starts with like, well, how much do you want to make? And so notice how I didn't start with that at all. We didn't, because the number doesn't really matter. And this is where we can kind of get caught up in bigger and better numbers or comparing our money goal to someone else. And it's actually completely irrelevant. Like, who cares what you want to make? Because you and I might live in different cities, cost of living places, countries, currencies. We have different goals and dreams. And so when we're always comparing our goal to someone else, we're trying to fit into their clothes and wear their shoes, and it just doesn't make any sense. And so unless you know what your goals and dreams cost, you're just picking an arbitrary number, really, right? So if you were to think of like if I just said, okay, straight away, how much do you want to make this year? So a lot of people go blank. They really do. And they get really scared because they think there's no information, there's no grounding behind it. They're afraid to set a number and like not achieve it. And so this is a really great way, working backwards, to go, okay, if I want to, get really fit and healthy and do PT, okay, well, that's something that's going to cost money. How much is it going to cost? And I'll link to the Tim Ferris spreadsheet too, because it's a really great way of going, is it a one-off cost? Is it a monthly cost? And then it gives you a bit more information. That is a great way to set an income goal. And for years I was just like, well, we made this much last year, so let's make more. And that's great. That worked for me for a number of years. I was like, I'll just make that. But then it stopped getting motivating because it didn't mean anything to me. And if you're someone who needs a lot of meaning to be motivated to do stuff, then it's common to get really blocked and scared around it because it just doesn't feel good to you. You're like, why am I even doing this? So you might think, when it comes to setting like a number, do I go for a really big stretch goal and motivate myself to achieve it? Do I go for something that's more realistic? Do I go for like how to, cover my lifestyle? All of those things have their place. And I would say, what's motivating to you right now? Because I've been motivated by all of those things. I've been motivated by a big stretch goal to achieve something really big. I've been motivated by just like an arbitrary number. When I wanted to make $1 million, I wanted to see if I could do it. It wasn't particularly tied to anything. I didn't need to make it. I just wanted to stretch myself and to say that I had $1 million business. That's valid as well. You might be someone who is shifting and changing the way you live and work at the moment. And that is the thing that is going to set your goal. Okay, so don't overthink it, because perfectionism absolutely gets in the way here. The other thing I want to say too is people get very caught up in wording and how to set goals. So have you ever heard people say, you should always set them in future tense, or you should always set them in past tense as if you've already done it? And I've got a very strong opinion on this, is that it depends on your personality. Some people love thinking about the future. So for me, ruler, I'm always like visionary, thinking about what if, and I actually get more pleasure thinking about goals in the future. Some people, though, it freaks them out because the future's so uncertain. So for some people, they like to speak it as if it's happening right now in the present. So it could be, I'm so grateful that I now live in my dream house. Like, it feels grounding. And some people like to set their goals in the past tense. It's like, oh, I'm so grateful that I did the work, that achieved my dream house, as if it's already done. Does that make sense? So there's like all these little nuances when it comes to setting goals. And then what you do is you take whatever those top goals are for you that you've maybe prioritized a little bit, and then we put them into the real world that we can touch and feel and smell them. Okay. And this is another thing where it's totally dependent on your personality to make that real, because otherwise, you write your goals down 1st of January, you forget about them. So how can we make this really real for you? So you start to activate your brain, you start to activate the law of attraction. And there's no right or wrong around this. It's always about what works for your personality. So a good example is looking at your senses. Okay, so smell for me is a very powerful manifesting tool. So I'll buy perfume that's like gives me confidence. That's why I loved Lady Millions perfume. I know so many people have bought it now and it's like seen as a bit mass markety. But like when it first came out, I was like, oh my God, like there's the Empire one, there's the Fabulous one, there's kind of one for every archetype. But it was a really big thing for me just to be like, yes, I'm like, a millionaire. And it became a little bit of an anchor for me. I always talk about when I was manifesting my beach house that I had a candle that smelled like the beach. When we're selling our rose farm, like I'd use scent in that way too, of like smelling the rose scent. And it was just a little reminder of like, this is what I'm playing for. So you could look at one of your goals for the year and go, what does that goal smell like? And how can I embed that into my life? So then when I'm not sitting writing down my goals, I still remember it becomes a bit of an anchor for me. And you could get perfume, you could get essential oils, you could get like hand wash, like I had my rose hand wash for a long time. Anything that it evokes that emotional connection for you. Because that's what gets us to achieve the goals, right? Is just that excitement, that energy to go, oh, I am manifesting that. What would that feel like? So maybe it's like a really like fancy hotel that you've been at and you find out what hand wash they use, or you've been on holidays, or just a smell that you go, oh, that reminds me of Italy, and that's that trip that I want to book this year. Okay, all those things are very, very powerful. So what does your goal smell like? Okay, that's the question for you. The next one would be, what would my goal sound like? Okay, so I've used this in a few different ways. So one, I've used the sound of my own voice to help me manifest. An example of that was when I was in my 20s, really want to manifest this trip to go traveling all around the world. Talk about it in my book, Lucky Bitch. And I'd be at the train station in the snow, and I'd walk up and down the train station and I would say out loud the speech that I would give about how I manifested it. So it's like writing the book about how I manifested the thing before I manifested it. And the speaking it out loud was the words that I needed to hear to believe that it was possible. And then I did the work. It gave me the courage to do the things to manifest that trip. You might listen to podcasts, right? So when I was writing my book, all I listened to was podcasts about writing, because it activated that thing of, oh, this is what people do. We write books. And so it normalized it for me. Okay, so if you want to manifest something really big, you put yourself in that space where all you're hearing is confirmation that that is possible for you. So it's either inspirational stories, you're talking to people, you're learning from people who have done the thing that you want to do. Okay, so that can activate like your belief, but also I think too, the way you can either hear it or sometimes you can see it. Like if you're in groups where people are talking about that stuff, you see it, you believe it. If I hear it, I believe it. Okay, so that could be a hearing thing for you where that's really powerful. You need to hear it to understand it and to believe it for yourself. Some of you, it is a visual thing, right? So it could be that's where you do your dream boards. You put yourself in the environment. Okay, so every time, every weekend when I wanted to manifest my beach house, I'd go to the beach because I wanted to see, and I'd be like, this is what my view is going to be like. This is what it's going to be like. I wanted to be in that environment, to see it, to believe it. And then I would actually go to that neighborhood that I wanted to. And it's so funny because that's where we ended up buying our house, the exact neighborhood that I walked up and down all the time. And I remember saying to Mark, I was walking, looking at it, hearing the ocean, so that's another thing. You could listen to things, and saying to Mark, one of these is our house. I don't know which one it's going to be, but it's inevitable. And then we didn't have any money. I was just trying to believe it. And then I'd get enough of a charge. I'd go back and I'd do my work to make my money. All those things are very powerful. Songs that remind you of your goal. Meditations, anything that you can do. Oh, sorry, back on seeing. Colors. So that's, I think, where I got obsessed with blue, is because I was like, I want to live near the beach. So I'm going to fill my house with things that look like the beach. So I dressed in blue. I had shells and beach stuff all around me. That's when it started to manifest the beach house. And then I just happened to love that color. I put my dream boards in as many places as possible. On my phone when I picked it up, on my computer screen, little like pictures and anchors around the house, pictures of views, all of those things to be able to see it and to believe it. You might be more of a kinesthetic person and you really need to feel it, like either feel it in your body or feel it physically. And so for you, like going to the place that represents your goal could be really important. Go to open houses in your dream neighborhood. It's free. Go test drive cars, sit in the car, go to fancy furniture stores and sit and see what it would feel like. Wear nice clothes. You might have little talismans or something like that. So it could be a ring, a bracelet, earrings, jewelry, a little fidget, something that could remind you of it. I had a really big goal one year to really work on healing my inner child. So I bought a charm for my inner child. It was like a little teddy bear on my key ring, and I just would pick it up and it would remind me to do that work, and I'd go, oh, I love you, you're safe. I didn't even need it for that long for me to feel like I'd made inroads in healing my inner child, because the kinesthetic experience was more powerful for me than to sit and to visualize it, if that makes sense. Okay, so think about your senses and how that will help you manifest your goal. And it has two purposes. One, to keep you focused, but without an exhausting amount of work, of going, oh, I must write down my goals all the time. It just like becomes part of your daily life. And that's the second one, to acclimatize you to it. That's why we do it, so you can feel what it would feel like, you can see what it would feel, and all of that strengthens your belief. Okay, so think about what you want to achieve this year, and then we find a practical way for you to remember that goal. And they're the ones that are going to manifest. Like, they're the ones that are going to come up. Half the ones on your list you don't care enough about to create a cent for. But the ones that are really important to you, and they might not be the biggest financial goal, they might not be the most complicated, but they're the ones that are important to you. They're the ones that you take that next step for, and you can create those anchors. Okay, so I've put that in the handout for you, denisedt.com/goals. Just spend a little bit of time thinking about it. And those little anchors, they don't take much time to set up. And like, here's an example, and if you can see it on the video, it's like a rose farm cup. I bought this when I was manifesting my rose farm, and so it became a little anchor. And, now I've sold the rose farm. I'm like, I'll find another one. Notice how I said sold. It hasn't sold yet as time of this recording, but by the time you listen to it, and I've asked Mark as well when he goes, if we sell it by this, I'm going, when we sell it. It's little things like that make the difference of setting goals. We really can break it down into like manageable, practical, but also like they're things that we can have control over, to make us feel like we actually can do it. Okay, all right, so download that. I'd love to hear what your goals are, but I do have one final thought for you after this last break. Don't go away. See you in a second. Bye. You joined Money Bootcamp
in 2019.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing that I think the most important element of bootcamp for me, biggest learning, was about permission. A permission to go, it's okay for me to talk about money, to make money, to have a safe space to talk about money, but also understand that the things that blocked me around money that I didn't even know existed, that I could deal with, and then be able to go, okay, reframe it in a way that was really positive for me to be able to, create something completely different for myself.
Especially as an artist, right?
Definitely.
Artist mentality.
Absolutely. So that permission, that whole permission thing was, okay, if it's okay for me to make money out of art, what does that look like? And the whole journey around that.
Okay, welcome back. So sometimes people really resist setting goals because they don't know how they're going to do it. And they get really caught up in, but how, Denise, how? And I've noticed that some really miraculous things have happened in my life when I've just given myself permission to dream. The dreaming part is free. It really is. Don't be afraid to get very specific into some of your goals and to really nut out stuff. Like, for example, with my one time when I was looking for a new job, and I was like, I really want a short commute. And I felt like I wasn't allowed to even put it down. And I finally went, no, I want a short commute. And I found a job like 5 minutes away from my house. I didn't even know there were companies near me, right? And so we're scared to even write it down. Like, we're not wasting paper. We're not setting things in motion that we don't want. You're allowed to dream. Give yourself permission to dream. And I would even say as well, like literally put your hand on your heart now and say, it's safe for me to dream. It's safe for me to dream. It's safe for me to have goals. It's safe for me to ask for what I want. And what's going to happen there is some things might rise to the surface where you go, no, but I'm not allowed to. Oh, I had a good year last year. I'm not allowed to have even more. That's the juice, right? Your job is to write it down, and then you can work on the stuff that comes up. But if you're always worried, like, oh, I've got blocks, I'm not going to do it, and you never write things down, it just doesn't set those things into motion sometimes. So you're allowed to dream, give yourself permission to do it. And sometimes the how's not important right now. The how will get figured out. Your job is just to dream. Give yourself permission to do it. Okay, don't forget to download the worksheet, and always send me a DM if there's a big aha, or write on the comments for this episode. And yeah, let's have a great year. Like, no matter what time of year you're listening to this, you can have a great week, a great month. Just give yourself permission to dream and just set those things down and allow the universe to meet you halfway. That's it. All right, that link again is denisedt.com/goals. Goals. Okay. Chat to you later. See you next week. Bye.
Start your business for the freedom of time. Now you're tired of the hustle and grind. There's gotta be a better way. It's time to listen to Chill and Prosper. Welcome to Chill and Prosper. You're ready to chill and prosper with Denise Duffield-Thomas.